introduced. Hi, Garrett Park. I'm your Assistant Town Manager, Kayla Buker, and I'm joined today by Mike Norton with Norton Land Design. Norton Land Design is the firm that the Town Council has retained to help guide us through the development of concepts and permitting to turn Letitia Yeandle's generous gift into a park for the community. Mike, thanks for joining me. I can't wait to hear you talk about the concepts you have for us.
Hey, good afternoon, Kayla. Again, this is Mike Norton with Norton Land Design, and we are here to go through the three concepts and some of the background design that led us to those concepts. If you like, I can just start with what you're seeing on the screen now.
That would be great, Mike. Thank you.
Sure. So when we were retained to work with the town of Garrett Park, we had initially back in the fall a community meeting, evening meeting, where we had basically a listening session with the community for what was envisioned individually and as groups for this great space that Miss Yeandle was generous enough to donate to the community. Aside from the community meeting, there was also an online survey that was conducted by the town of Garrett Park. Between the meeting and the survey, we distilled down some key elements that seem to be reoccurring themes throughout the community. And what you're looking at on our screen right now is basically what we heard from the community. And those areas are highlighted in the green bubbles on the left of the screen right now. Community was most interested in natural setting area to retain the natural ambiance of the site, sitting spaces, walking areas, and play areas. What you also see on the screen, or what you will see on the screen, are just a few of the bluer bubbles are kind of how we addressed each of the concepts through the design. Basically, natural native plants, reflective spaces, and also nature play spaces, kind of integrated throughout each of the three concepts. As a refresher for everyone, we have on the right side of the first slide are some of the design parameters that we do have to address as we're going through this very unique site. It's very obviously it's very residential and it's small. And so we are designing within a very tight-knit, close community that is integrated into the fabric of the community. On the drawing, we want to go back to the easement, the conservation easement that this property is subject to, which is one of the critical elements of this whole project. And what we took was the graphic from Exhibit B of the easement that is in place at Land Records. And we're highlighting again the house footprint, which is the developable area. Also, we want to point out the blue hatch area is on the easement as the developed portion of the lot. So if you look at the house footprint and then forward of the house footprint out to Kenilworth is basically, or more or less, the site area that we're working within for the community park. On the right, we have some bubbled areas of a few of the parameters that we're working within it. Again, the buildable area that I just explained. Also, accessibility for everyone within the community from Kenilworth Avenue to the pad of the previously existing house is a substantial grade change that we are working within. We have a budget that the community does have, or the town of Garrett Park does have for this project, a very limited budget that we have to work within, and also the requirements of the county being park and planning and Montgomery County, and how to work within those to limit the expenses that don't go into the developed portion of the property, basically.
Thanks for that really good overview, Mike. Some of our residents might recall that at prior meetings, we've talked about the fact that this is subject to a process called mandatory referral, where we do have to interact with the county. So we're looking forward to Norton's help to get us through that process. But first, let's see the concepts.
Oh, wonderful. Let's go on to what we're calling, so we have, again, three concepts.
Mhm.
What you're looking at on the first screen, I'll make that a little bit bigger for everyone, is we have the circular defined spaces. And again, we're going to talk basically from Kenilworth Avenue for each of these sites and how you would approach this park. There are all three concepts do have access points, two access points from Kenilworth Avenue. The leftmost access we will be treating as the American Disability Act, the fully accessible access point to the uppermost, the pad of the previous house. The access point on the right will still be a point that can be entered for people. However, it may not be 100% meet the ADA requirements, but it will be an access point that we are not going to eliminate. It is there right now. So to get into the first concept, again, we're looking at this as a circular defined spaces, going back to what we heard from the community and how we applied that. We're looking at areas that are possibly an open lawn area, as well as a space that can be a nature play area, as you see on the plan, a couple of the images for the site. The spaces will be landscaped, planted, screening mainly to protect views to the existing houses that are currently there, and to kind of make this as a park setting. Again, native plantings around the area that will kind of diffuse into the environment. However, looking at a small gathering area in the center of the space, and then you would either go to the left if you want a little more meditative space, a softer, natural space, sitting, if you will, maybe a bench or two, and then a larger area that would be more of a play area. Again, sitting area, we do have some grade changes to work with on this site, so we are trying to do that naturally with some boulders on this. But again, distinct spaces on this plan. And that summarizes this layout.
Happy to hear what thoughts went into shaping this concept, and I'm sure the neighbors appreciate the attention given to screening and protecting their views. Let's talk about concept two.
All right, we're going to skip over to concept two. Again, common theme throughout this, entry points and also recognizing screening of the neighbors. So those items are not going to change necessarily maybe how they're implemented, but the idea of those is retained throughout all three concepts. Concept two is a curvilinear space. And again, the accessible for all will be from the left entrance off of Kenilworth Avenue. There will be a curved path from the right entrance as well. Probably have a few stairs. It is significantly steeper hill on the right-hand side. Immediately, what you see on this plan is that this space becomes more of a shared use space. It can be much smaller if you would like to have the more reflective, intimate space on the left side, kind of tucked into the native plantings. Also have, again, trying to have a more active space defined on this site as well. However, for if you're maybe a few people, you can have adults on the left side, you can have kids playing on the right side, a view from everywhere on this area. And again, kind of a multi-purpose space, if you will. This space does have a edge restraint that does go through the middle of the site with a raised seating area that could be used for either left or the right. Again, we still have grade changes to work with. However, we are providing benches and multiple seating options for this site. What's unique on this site is actually it does start to form a walking path as well. Again, there might be a couple stairs on the right side or a steeper ramp. However, this does circulate all the way through that you can kind of use it as a walking path through the site as well. So a little bit unique on concept too.
I know a lot of the community feedback centered around wanting to have seating so they could stop and enjoy. And there was also a decent number of comments who were looking for that kind of walking path that you said kind of develops. So concept three.
Sure. concept three really takes a different turn from obviously from the first two concepts that you saw, more first two being more curvilinear. The third concept takes more of an architectural approach, if you will, to this unifying spaces. Starts to also take a lot of its cues from the previous house and the pad. What we did was we took a very square rectilinear site and started softening the edges with planting materials. So you have kind of have this push and pull between the built environment and the natural environment, where you have the maybe nature would be pushing into this this gathering space, and again more maybe pockets of plantings within this space. So now this space does approach from Kenilworth Avenue a little bit more direct than the previous approaches. So there would be a ramp system that would have to be integrated into this design. It will have handrails. It's a little bit steeper, again, because we're going straight up from Kenilworth right to the site instead of wrapping around. So that is a little bit unique to this site, is more of a ramp landing system to get to the area. Again, this kind of takes its cues from the house, but also has a larger gathering space. But again, protrusions into the landscape where you can have a little bit more intimate, reflective spaces. Seating is throughout this site, as well as is the landscape plan for this. Oh.
And I see that this one says that there's potential for public art. Looks like you have
Yeah.
an example of that in the kind of suggested image.
Sure. So we understand that Garrett Park has a very active arts community, a very engaged art community. So one of the ideas is that these spaces could lend themselves to an art component, whether that art component is uh, integrated in so that it could be seating, it could be something for kids to clamber over, something to kind of in it, but more of an interactive art, landscape art feature. Is what we're thinking on something like this, where you could take a corner of these spaces. It could be a feature to the site, what have you. It could be a rotating art. We could just provide possibly just that vehicle for art to be integrated into the landscape, is what we're thinking on this on this park.
An exciting thought. Mike, I appreciate you taking the time to walk through the concepts for those residents who weren't able to join us at the most recent community meeting where these designs were unveiled publicly. I do want to remind our residents that you will have an opportunity to view these concepts at Penn Place until February 3rd. You'll also be provided with comment cards that you can provide feedback. And we encourage you, if there are parts of a design that you like, single them out. You don't have to necessarily say that this particular concept is totally your favorite. You can say that there's a part of it you like. We're looking forward to hearing what the residents think, and we appreciate Norton's work so far on this project.
Great, thank you.